In this video, we will see what is JSP or Java Server Pages. So, Java Server Pages is a server-side technology which enables the creation of web applications that support dynamic content. So basically, it is the same as servlet technology because even servlets are used for providing some dynamic functionality to web pages and JSPs are actually built on top of the servlets API. So internally, JSP uses servlets. So that is why all the powerful APIs which can be accessed by the servlets can also be accessed by JSPs. And also, in addition to this, uh, there are many functionalities that are provided in a JSP which are not in a servlet, like JSTL. So the advantages of using JSP is that the dynamic part is written in Java. That is why JSP has all the features of Java. So it is portable, unlike some languages which only work on their proprietary servers only. Also, it is more convenient to write and modify an HTML file than to have multiple println statements. So, like when we were writing a response in the servlet, we used to write the response to a printWriter object which was out, and then there used to be multiple println lines, or we used to go on appending the string which was our HTML response. But in case of JSP, because a JSP is actually a combination of HTML and Java code, so it is just Java code which has been embedded inside an HTML file. So that is why it is very convenient to write and modify a JSP. Also, a JSP uses implicit objects, which means there are some objects which are pre-created by the JSP engine and provided to us. So we do not have to create those objects, or we do not have to manage those objects. They are created and managed by the JSP engine itself. Now, the processing of a JSP, so basically the compilation, when we compile a JSP, the three steps that occur are: first, the JSP is parsed into tokens, and then it is converted into a servlet. So the entire JSP is first converted into a servlet, and then the way we compile a servlet class, the same process follows. So that is why we say that JSP is built on top of the servlets API. The lifecycle of a JSP consists of the init, service, and destroy method, which is the same as that of the servlets. So the only difference here is that the method names will be different because we are working with a JSP. So the initialization method in JSP is called JSP init. All the initialization code is written inside this JSP init method, and we can override this method to provide some initialization code. Like if we want to allocate some resources like database, or we want to open some connection, then we can write all that code in the JSP init method. This method will be executed only once at the beginning. So whenever our web application is loaded, the init method of that JSP will be called only once. Next is the service method. So the actual execution of the JSP is written inside the JSP service method. So this JSP service method is very similar to the service method of the servlet, where we had seen do get and do post methods, and the arguments that we are passing to this method are the request object and the response object. So that is of type HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response, same as that of a servlet. All the service handling code, that is whenever a request reaches the server for this JSP, that request will be served by this service method, and the response will be returned at the end of this service method. Now, this method cannot be overridden because whatever we write in our JSP is the code of the service method. So whenever we are writing the JSP, all that code will be compiled into the JSP service method. So we cannot explicitly override it because we are actually writing the service method itself. It is invoked once per request. As we saw, whenever a request will be received, it will be executed. Next is the JSP destruction or the destroy method. So this destroy method is called only once, that is when our web application is unloaded. So in that case, the JSP destroy method will be called and it will contain the code for deleting or closing all the resources that were being occupied by the JSP file. So we can, so here we can close some files on the hard disk which we were accessing, or we can close the connection to the database, or if we were using a network connection, then we may close the network connection. This way we can release all resources in the JSP destroy method. Next, coming to the implicit objects in a JSP. So there are 9 predefined objects which are available in a JSP page, and these objects are created by the web container itself, and they are simply provided to us in the JSP page, and we can access them directly without creating them or without calling any other method to fetch these objects. So these objects are request, response, out, session, application, config, page, page context, and exception. So some of these objects are familiar to you if you have used servlet technology. We'll look at them one by one. JSP page is actually a scope of JSP. So like we have seen in servlets, we have 3 scopes, which is request, session, and context. JSP has 4 scopes, and page is the smallest of all scopes. So page is the scope which is only available on a given JSP page. So when we say page, so the page instance is also synonymous with this. So if we are using the keyword this in a JSP page, then we are actually referring to the page itself. Next is request. So this request object will represent the HTTP request, that is the request that we have received from the client, and it is of type HTTP servlet request, which extends the servlet request interface. Next, we have response, which will represent the response that we are writing to, and we will be sending back to the client who had sent the request. So it is of type HTTP servlet response, which is extended from servlet response interface. So these two, request and response, these two are the objects which are being passed to the JSP service method. Then we have page context. So page context represents the current context of the page, and it is provided for storage and access of all page scope objects. So whichever objects are present in that page, and the page context is an object of this class, which is javax.servlet.jsp page context. Next, we have the session object. So the session object will represent an HTTP session that is bound to our request, and it is of type HTTP session, which belongs to javax.servlet.http. So session and application, these are two of the scopes of a JSP page, and other two scopes are page and request. The application object will represent the context of the entire web application. So when we say application, we are referring to the complete context of our application. So we can access the context parameters or some variables which belong to our web application using this object. Then out is the object that we will be using to write our write to our response. So like in a servlet, we use the print writer object and we name it out. So here in a JSP, we are already provided a JSP writer object with the name out, and we can directly use this out variable and print to our response. Next, we have the config object. So the config object will represent the configuration of our servlet, and it is of type servlet config. So if we want to access some configuration parameters that we have set in our web.xml, then we can use this servlet config object, which is config. Next, we have an object named exception. So this object exception is accessible only on JSP error pages. So the page that we have defined to be an error page, only there we will be able to access this exception object, and that can be done using the page directive. So we will see that shortly. Now this object exception is of type java.lang.exception, and it will represent an exception which is not caught and it was thrown from another JSP page. So that is why it resulted in invocation of the error page. Also, then we can write some exception handling code to handle this exception appropriately. So these are the implicit objects that are provided by the web container to our JSP page, and we need not create these objects. These objects are automatically created by the web container and they are provided to us. We can directly use them as it is.